Hey guys, how's it going? It is Jason here, the Jason Rev Show, and this episode we are going to talk about WandaVision Episode 5. That was a hell of an episode, but before we get started, if you could please click subscribe and you can like. If you want to get notifications, click the little bell down there, and if you'd like to share it, if you think people that would like the content, then share. Thank you very much. So let's get into this episode. The episode started with an 80s, it's set in the 80s, with Vision and Wanda all trying to get their babies to sleep. Well, first of all, the name of the episode is a very special episode. Yeah, yeah, Wanda and Vision are struggling for Tommy and Billy to sleep because they keep crying all night. Then all of a sudden, they pick them up, and what? First, Wanda starts and she's talking to, I believe it was Tommy. So Tommy Shat or Billy? She had one of them. Tommy, and she was talking to him and saying, "If you just go to sleep, you'll be my favorite." And Vision comes walking down the stairs and goes, "Wanda, we can't pick favorites." And she's like, "Don't tell him that." And then they start dancing. He's like, "You want to dance?" And they start dancing. She's like, "Wow, it feels like a date." And then they go get the baby's soothers, or I forget what they call them. I forget the term they used in the show. But they went and got those, and then the babies, they thought Wanda tried using her magic on them actually first. Sorry, I'm a little tired. I work nights, so I do this, during the day, and I'm a little tired today. Sorry, guys. I'm going to try to bring the energy. I'm going to try to bring it. Okay, so then yeah, Wanda tried while Vision left to go with the soothers. Wanda was going to try to use her magic on them, and it didn't work. And she's like, "Hey, you guys are laughing. Why you can't do that?" And then Vision came in. They gave them the soothers. They spit the soothers out, and they're like, "Oh my God, Vision, we need we need help." And then all of a sudden, ding, ding, the doorbell rings, and in comes Agnes, and she's like, "Hey, I could hear that." These guys were going on a sleep. They didn't want to sleep, and then Vision's like, how do you know that? And she's like, I can hear it. So then Agnes offers to help, and she's going to start walking towards them, and then Vision's like, well, don't touch their belly buttons, and don't make sure to hold them like this, and when's the last time you washed your hands? You know what, maybe you shouldn't touch them at all. And then Agnes looked all weird, and she looked at Wanda, and she's like, kind of like breaking character, like she was afraid that she wasn't doing what Wanda was wanting her to do in her head, like commanding her to do in her head. And then she's like, "Do you want me to just go back and start over? You want me to touch? You want me to hold the babies? Do you want me to go back and start over?" And then Vision and Wanda are looking at each other like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And then she finally Wanda's like, Vision, let her touch the kids, let her touch the babies, let her hold the babies, and then Vision's like, and then he calls her over, and then they start discussing it. And Wanda, Wanda tells her, look, we're tired. And Vision's like, did you see that? That was weird. And he goes, I don't know. Wanda's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't see anything. Maybe she seems normal to me now. And Vision was, Vision wasn't happy about it. Vision was pretty upset and thrown off, but then he just let it go. He seemed to just let it go at that point, and and then Catherine Hahn's character, Agnes, she was all playing with acting really stupid. It was like she was jazzercising with the kids. It was kind of ridiculous, a little bit funny, I guess. And then the kids, they just stopped making noise, and they're like, what happened? And they go look in the cribs. The kids aren't there anymore, and they're like, where are they? And the kids had aged themselves up. Billy and Tommy had aged themselves up to 5. So then the opening credits start, and it's like an 80s montage of family ties, growing pains, all of these great 80s sitcoms. So then we open the episode after the credits, focused on Monica Rambeau. And Monica Rambeau is getting checked out. She's getting like a scan. She's got some blood tests done. She gave her a recap of what she thinks what happens, and says, she felt pain, and then she just gave in to Wanda. So she's doing then she sits up, and in comes Jimmy Woo and Darcy, and they bring in clothes for her, and the doctors come, or whoever's doing the test comes and goes, we need to do the tests again because there was nothing. And then Darcy looks at it and goes, there's nothing there. And she goes, that's right, we got to do it again. And Monica said, no, forget about this, I'm done. I am done. I'm spent doing these tests. I need to get to work. So then Monica gets up, and Darcy gives her the clothes. She gets introduced to Darcy. They discuss a little bit, and then she goes and gets changed. And then it goes back into the house, and we see Billy and Tommy are like looking. They've got a whole bunch of bubbles in the kitchen sink, and they're like, we need to clean them because then Mommy will let us keep them. And they had a dog, and then hijinks, starts, and Wanda comes walking in, and the kids, that one of them, she sneezes and she goes Gesundheit, and then, or one of the dogs sneezes and she says Gesundheit, and then the dog barks, and she's like, which one of you barked? And then, she falls in love with the dog. Vision comes out, and Vision's like, I don't know about this. And then he's like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, the door rings again, and in comes Agnes with a doghouse, and she goes, oh, I could see that you guys needed a doghouse. And then uh, Vision's like, what the hell is going on? Kind of. He's like, okay. And then the kids are like, Dad, can we have the puppy? Can we have the puppy? And he's like, no. And Vision and Wanda are like, we think that you should wait until you're in the Vision cough. She's like, 10. And they're like, you 10 years old. And then the kids look at each other all smirky, and Wanda's like, no, 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 no. And then they age up till 10. And yeah, it's kind of, kind of funny. And then when they say that they can have the dog, then Wanda, they decided to name the dog Sparky. And then Wanda almost shows her abilities to Agnes by making a dog tag for Sparky. And Vision calls her over, and he gives her crap for it. She's like, I don't want to hide anymore, Viz. You shouldn't either. Maybe you should show yourself. And it's like, and he's like, no, Wanda, usually we're both of the same mind. We're not of the same mind here. Yeah. Then we cut back to Sword headquarters, where they're doing a rundown of everything, and the director. Let me look up his name. I had his name here. Hold on. Let me get it for you. It's like Tyler something or other. Tyler Hayward. Yeah, Tyler Hayward, the director of Sword. He's kind of a dick. Yeah, which acts like a dick. Like Jimmy Woo and him are giving the thing, and he's being really condescending afterwards. And Jimmy goes to Darcy, and he's like, I don't like to say bad things about people. And Darcy's like, you leave it to me. He's a dick. And then Monica challenges him. Like, the guy was just like a total dick there. Like, yeah, he was totally a dick. When you guys watch the episode, you'll see what a dick he was. So then we cut back into the show, into Vision and Wanda, into WandaVision, and we see Vision at work. And Vision is he works at his the computer place, and he's setting up a computer. He's setting up a brand new computer, and it's an old, like, brand new from 1980s computer. And they're like, oh my god, these are the new computers, and they're making computer jokes and stuff like that. And Vision goes over and he goes, let's go on the internet. One of his colleagues there, I forget what his name is. Norm. Yeah, Norm. So this colleague Norm, and they read Vision's like, let's go on the internet, and it all logs in, and then they get an email, and they read the email, and it's from Darcy, and it talks about, like, there's problems in Westview, and that Wanda Maximoff's controlling it, I believe. And so they're like, whoa. And Vision's like, and everybody read it at the same time. Everybody in the office read it at the same time. It was very creepy. And then Vision touches the computer and it shuts down. And then he touches Norm's head, and Norm comes out of the comb, like, comes out of the trance. Like, he breaks his Vision broke his, like, trance, and he's like acting. He's like, where am I? Are you here to save us? Oh my god. Where's my phone? I gotta call my sister. My sister's taking care of my dad. He's alone. What are you doing? She's trying to take control of our mind again. You gotta stop her. You gotta stop her. You gotta stop her. And then he's like, Vision's like, who? You gotta stop her. And then he was like going crazy. He was like kind of panicking. So Vision touched his head again, and then he went back to normal. And then we cut back to outside back in where Sword is, and Monica, Darcy, and Jimmy Woo are, like, brainstorming over things, and then they're brainstorming, and they realize that they talk a little bit about Wanda and the power she has, like, that she's more powerful than they thought she was, and she's exhibiting a lot more power than they believed that she had, that she'd ever shown before. And they're like, she was created from an Infinity Stone, right? And they're like, yeah. And then they're like, Darcy's like, Captain Marvel was too, wasn't she? And then, they first Jimmy, I believe, said that he's like, you know what? She could have beaten Thanos herself. And no, Darcy said that, and then Jimmy said, well, so could have Captain Marvel. And then Monica, who was friends with Captain Marvel, but Captain Marvel was very good friends. The way she looked, I don't know. I think there might have been a falling out or something. Who knows? Maybe she's disappointed that she never came back until then. But who knows? But then she's like, we're not talking about her. And they went back into, they started talking about the clothing and everything. And then they decided to go check on Monica's clothing. Monica scanned the clothing that she was wearing in there, the fish pants. And then Monica did a scan of it. And then she went over to Jimmy, grabbed his gun, shot the pants. And it was like, everybody's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And she's like, they're Kevlar. They're 85% Kevlar. She just alters the reality, is what the one is, just altering the reality. And they're like, oh, wow, that's crazy. And then, what happens next? She's like, oh, maybe we have something. Yeah, Monica's like, we don't need to, we can't send anything that's not from the time, but maybe if we send something from that time, it doesn't need to be changed. So then we go back to Wanda talking to the two boys, and she's talking to them about being brothers and how they're family and how they'll always love each other, and then they ask her, did you ever have a brother, Mom? And she's like, I did, Pietro, but he's very, very far away. And I miss him very much, and I don't get to see him. And then the doggy, Sparky, runs and starts barking at the door, and they're like, he's scared, Mom, he's scared. So then Wanda goes outside, and we flash back to outside in the sword tent, and they're flying in a drone, but a 1980s style drone, and Monica's flying it in. We see Wanda, we see it from the camera, and then they said they're watching the TV show, but nobody can see the drone because Wanda's altering it out of the TV show. So then the drone flies up, and Captain Rambo, it goes on and says, "This is Captain Monica Rambo, Wanda. We just want to talk." And then that bloody Tyler Hayward, he takes over, and he takes over, and they shoot him. Tells one of his men to take over, and they shoot a missile at Wanda, and then boom, it all like the show fades, goes off the air, and then they hear there's a breach, and everybody runs outside, and they see where the hex they see like pushing, and it looks like somebody's trying to push the way out, and out comes Wanda with the drone, and she throws it at them, and they all have their guns scopes on her, and she's like, "Is this yours?" She goes, "This is my only warning to you. Leave me alone. Leave my place alone." And then they go back and they're like, "Well, Wanda, you're controlling people." She goes, "I'm not hurting anybody. You're controlling people." And they're arguing back and forth. And then Monica walks forward and starts discussing with her, and she tells her, let's see, do I have it? Do I have it written down? No, I just warns Hayward to leave her alone. But yeah, she had a conversation with. She started having a conversation with Monica, but then Wanda got very frustrated. So then she turned all of the sword agents. She controlled all their minds, just like the Mind Stone that Loki was using. It was very interesting when Loki used the Mind Stone and controlled everybody. This was like the same kind of thing, except for there was like red, like Wanda dust kind of stuff, and Wanda controlled all their minds, and they all turned their scopes all on Hayward. He's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Stand down, stand down!" And then Monica leaves, walks back in, and it looks like she supercharges the hex so that nobody can get anything through. And then when she walks through, everybody kind of like all the sword agents. They're like, "Whoa!" And then they put their guns down because they kind of come back to being, they're not mind controlled anymore. And then we see inside of Westview, Wanda and the two twins are walking around looking for Sparky because they can't find Sparky. And then we see Agnes come out of the bushes, and it seems Sparky ate her poisonous plants. Why does she have poisonous plants there? Could she be a witch? Are the rumors true? Is she Agnes Harkness, or Agatha Harkness? I don't know. So then, she talks with the boys. They see that the dog's dead. The boys are all sad, and she sees that they're gonna try to age up again. She's like, "No, do not age up. Do not, do not do this. Do not age up to try to get past this grief. Grief is something we have to live with. Death happens, and all this," which is funny because the whole reason there's a Wanda Vision is because Wanda hasn't been able to process her grief with Vision. She has not been able to get past that. I think, honestly, she hasn't been able to get her past her grief with Pietro either. And actually, let me put a pin in that. I'm gonna finish reading. I'm gonna finish the episode, and then I'm gonna talk a little more about that. But so she's confronting the kids, and then they're sad, and then Vision returns from work, and he talks to the boys, and he's comforts them a little bit, and they all head into the house, and then Vision comes in from the outside. I guess he went to bury the dog, and he says, it's funny, and rarely in one day do we get a dog, and it dies in the same day. And one is like, oh, strange things happen in the suburbs. So, it's like, because it's a sitcom. You know how sitcoms, everything, beginning, middle, ending, all in one day. But he gets a relationship. They fall in love, and they fall out of love right at the end of the episode. It's crazy. So Vision's starting to finally see behind the curtain, it seems, and he confronts Wanda about it. And he's confronting her about it and saying, you're controlling everybody. I talked to Norm. This is what happened. He has a family. You're controlling him. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about, Vision. I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, you can't control me like you can control them. And she's like, you think so? And then all of a sudden the end credits start to roll. And Vision's like, no, we're not ending like this. You're not going to do this. So then they go out into the living room. And then Vision, like, flies in the air, and then Wanda flies in the air, and they're just like staring at each other. And Wanda starts to let herself go down. She's like, "You've never talked to me like this." And he goes, "What do you mean? I don't know what I've done. I don't know my life before Westview. I know nothing." So then they're they're on the ground, and he's talking to her. He's like, "Wanda, talk to me. Let these people go." She's like, "Vision, I don't know what you're talking about. You think I can control everything? I can control people walking their dogs and mowing their lawns and going to the dentist." And he's like, "Wanda, where are the children? There are no children here besides ours." And she's like, "Yes, there are." And he's like, "No, there are not." And they're just arguing, and then all of a sudden there's a ring on the doorbell. And Wanda is, "I didn't do that, Vision. I didn't make that happen." And Vision's like, I I just find I can't believe you anymore. And she's like, "You don't believe me." And he's like, I can't really, yeah, I don't believe you, essentially. And then they get up, and Wanda gets up and walks to the door, and her face gets like shock. And then it's Vision's like, "Who is that?" And then from behind we see like silver gray hair, and it's a male. And then he walks, and then we see the camera turns to him, and it's Evan Peters, Pietro. And Wanda's like, "Pietro?" And he's like, "Hey, sis, you're gonna let," he starts talking all crazy. "Hey, sis, you're not gonna give your brother a hug." And then, who's this? Who's this popsicle? Talking about Vision. So, yeah, she's and then Darcy was walking in, and Darcy said, she goes, "She recast Pietro?" And then it ends. So, yeah, it's just funny. Like, she obviously has not, not even just overcome the grief of her brother, but I think of it this way. I mean, her brother was like her closest person. They were twins. They were always together. Their parents died. They went and did the Strucker trials, I guess, together. And when Pietro died, she felt it, and she got amped up with power. Remember when all of those Ultron bots were coming at her? She destroyed every single one of them in like just a surge of power out of anger. So, you know, then from that, I guess she kind of, transferred any like emotion, not that, any kind of, and like Vision became the next thing that she cared about. And then, then she loses Vision. And this is really only 3 weeks after she lost Vision. So she is not in a good place. And she does not have Natasha or Steve, who were her teammates, to help her. She does, I guess, Falcon, but I think Falcon and Bucky are out doing their own thing. They're in I don't know when the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to take place, but he's trying to come to terms with that. He's going to be the next Captain America, I'm sure. And yeah, Wanda, So Wanda doesn't have anybody. So she's gone like full Dark Willow kind of if you're a Buffy fan and you get that reference that she's gone full Dark Willow. And yeah, she's angry and she's hurt and she's going through grief. And it's funny that she talked to her kids about letting things go and death being, permanent, and you've got to grieve it and deal with it, and then she isn't able to do it herself. So yeah, there's things that are interesting. I'm also, another thing I'm wondering about is if she was actually able to bring him back and give him a personality, or like, was she able to recreate the Mind Stone or something? Or is she controlling him and he's just a faction of her own mind? Like, he's just like a personification of a certain personality of Vision that she's projecting from her mind. Like, she's not, it's almost like a personality. I don't, yeah, I'm so curious. I love this episode. The last two episodes have been amazing. I love this show. I know it's going to be heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking watching her because you know that she's in pain. And you know she's in pain. She and it's good to bring aspects of the comic character because she suffered from mental health, and yeah, she was. Yeah, if you've read House of M, or if you've read Avengers Disassembled, you know that Wanda could be in a bad place. Yeah, but I'm wondering if there were any other big interesting cameos that are gonna happen. Like the Evan Peters one, this is crazy. I don't know what they're going with it. Is this their way of bringing X-Men in or the mutants in? Is he going to be the alternate reality version of Pietro? I don't know. It's just it's interesting. It's interesting. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. It's gonna be amazing. But that's it for today. I will, if you guys remember to please subscribe. If you have anything that you want to comment on it, please comment in the comments and we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. I'll do a follow up episode or whatever. I'm going to try to do an episode I'm going to try to do one of my episodes for every episode of WandaVision. So, until next time, please subscribe, please like, please share. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of the people viewing this, and have a great Friday.